Okay, good morning, friends. Shalom Aleichem. We're continuing in Mishnah Berura, Daf HaShavua. If I could just take a moment of your time. Today's the last day of our annual campaign for Machon Maggid Harakiah. Whatever you could do to be mishtatef, even if you're not physically in the confines of our shul, but if you have a connection through the Shiurim, it would be greatly appreciated if you could be mechazik us, and Tavay Aleichem Bracha. We're learning Siman Sadi. We're up to Sif Yud. We still have to revisit Mishnah Berura Sif Katan Lamed Gimel. Mishnah Berura Sif Katan Lamed Aleph. That, let's say you're in a situation where the Tzibbur, Mishnah Berura Sif Katan Lamed, that if you're davening Musaf at the time that the Tzibbur is davening Shachris, what exactly does the Mishnah Berura mean? It's not called B'shah Shat Tzibbur Mispalalim. In other words, if you're at home and you're davening at the time that Tzibbur is davening, but a different tefillah, that's not called B'shah Shat Tzibbur Mispalim. But if you're davening with them in the shul, Mikri Tfilas HaTzibbur, does that mean it's called Tefillah B'Tzibbur, or is it called also B'shah Shat Tzibbur Mispalim? Sif Yud. If you're standing with the Tzibbur, you cannot make your tefillah earlier. You cannot advance your tefillah. In other words, you're standing together with the Tzibbur, you're not to start before them. Elam kain hasha oiveres. Unless the hour is going to pass, meaning you're going to miss the Zman tefillah, ve'einatzir mispalim, and the Tzibbur is delayed. Lefi shemarichem bepiyutim, they're saying a lot of extra piyutim, or for some other reason. Aval b'shallah, aval b'loisha oiveres. If the hour is not passing, Yispalel ha-piyutim v'atchinois im-atzibur, then you should say the piyutim and the tchinos with the tzibur, v'lo yifroish min atzibur. Do not separate from the tzibur, afil lasik b'divrei Torah, even to learn. This is the shita of the Ramah, that if you're in a shul and they're saying the fine print, you say the fine print with them. In your yeshiva, they never said the fine print. In your yeshiva, they just do the meat and potatoes. They have a rule from 200 years ago, they only say the big print, and now you're in a place where they say the fine print, so you figure, I'm going to learn, I'm going to do Daf Yomi, or you say, I'll do something even better, I'll learn Musar. No, even Musar you can't learn at the time that the Tzibbur is saying Piyutim. V'ayin le'el Siman Samachet. Says Mishnah Berura, Im ha-tzibur asar. Af agav de b'sif ha-koidim kasav da afilu hu bebeisai yechavin l'shah shatzu mispalin. What's the chiddush of Sif Yud that when you're with the tzibur, you're not to start earlier? Even if you're in your bedroom, you're not supposed to start earlier than the time that the big shul is davening. So what's Sif Yud adding that when you're with the tzibur, asar alay lahakdim? Says the Mishnah Berura, when we said in the Sif earlier that you should be mechavin l'shah shatzir mispalin, hainu kidei shetei tfilasei nishmas. That was just good advice to have your tefillah answered, listened to. Aval isura leka imakdam l'tfilas hatzibur. There's no isur if you advance the tefillah of the tzibur. Aval kisha'oimedim hatzibur umakdim. But when you're with the tzibur and you start the Shemoneh Esrei earlier, isura nami ika. It's asur. I see people, they are so afraid to chas v'sham answer Amen to Goal Yisrael that they start the Shemoneh Esrei when the chazan starts Tilos Lekel Elyon. By the time the chazan gets up to Goal Yisrael, they're already up to Moedim, So they didn't daven with the minyan. They may have done other good deeds like contribute to Machon Maggid Harakiah charity campaign. Charity.com/MMH. Fine, but they still didn't daven with the minyan that day. Doesn't matter. They could have put their name on the building. They still didn't daven with the minyan. But what about if they start earlier, like by 3 seconds? It's also not okay. It's not okay. When the chazan's saying Baruch Atah Hashem, Goal Yisrael, they can't start. Maybe a split second we'll give them. That's what we saw earlier. So if you're with the tzibur, you're now to start earlier than them. Isura nami ika. V'ayim baruch chaim shekasav atam v'nei shehu kimevaze es hatzibur. The Baruch Chaim says it's usher because you're mevaze the tzibur. So that's different than I was saying because you're not davening with the minyan. But this is even worse. You're mevaze the tzibur. Umasham beGemara da'afilim hu roitza la'aseh b'shol limud haTorah. Let's say you're doing this, you want to learn. Kagon sheyesh lo shir kavua lo ma'tar itzel echad. Let's say you have to get on the 9 o'clock Zoom, so you want to start the Shemoneh Esrei earlier to be able to finish earlier to get here. Still, you can't do that. Let's say you have to say your tefillah quickly. You have to go off on the road. You have to travel. Then don't daven Shemoneh Esrei in the shul. If you need to leave early, and the only way you're going to leave early is you're going to start Shemoneh Esrei when they get up to Ezras Aveseinu, then stay home. Don't daven in the shul. You can't do it. You can't be there and daven early. Daven at home. And it could be if you have to make a shir, you should also daven at home. That is to start early. You're losing tefillah b'tzibur. And only misha tayrasai umnasai. Is it better for him to daven in the place he learns without a minyan? No, that's not a question. That would be a statement. In other words, this ve'efsher, the dirshu is learning it. It has to be someone who's shatayrasai umnasai. Otherwise, you can't miss a minyan to make a shir or to learn. I would disagree with the Dershu. I would read the Mishnah Berura differently. Namely like this. When the Mishnah Berura says that for limud haTorah you're allowed to leave the shul, he's not saying that it's better to daven b'yechidus and to learn. Of course you have to daven with a minyan. He's talking about a guy who's going to learn. Why? He has to. He's the Maggid Shir. He has a chavrusa. He's not asking us what's better. Is it better to daven with a minyan, or is it better to learn? He has to leave early. That's the case. The case is he has to leave, either to work or to learn. I don't learn. That's not one of the options right now for this guy. He has to. He's committed. So then, the shaila is, should he daven earlier in the shul, or should he leave the shul? The answer is it's mutter for him to leave the shul, because if he's going to be there, it's not right, because it's a bizaya into the minyan. In other words, the dirshu is learning he's allowed to. So he's bothered. Why are you allowed to? You're not allowed to go learn at the expense of davening with the minyan. So he says it's tayrasai umnasai. I would say we're not getting into that. The guy's doing it. He's not asking us. Either he has to or he's going to do it anyway. Okay.
Anyone says the circle of Marti also. You go to Ladera, so what's the chiddush about limud haTorah? Anyone's allowed to. Or anyone's supposed to do.
No, the chiddush is like this. If the guy is doing it for a good reason, namely he's going to work, so then now the choice is, should he daven b'yechidus in the shul, or should he daven b'yechidus at home? We say daven b'yechidus at home, because it's a bizarre intention. But what if the guy's doing it to learn, which it's not even who says he should be doing that? Who said he should be going to learn at the expense of a minyan?
Well, why is that a big chiddush in working?
Because working he's allowed to do, but you're not allowed to. In other words, you're allowed to go to work, but you're not allowed to learn. In other words, you're allowed to...
It's a chiddush you're allowed to go to work at the expense of a minyan. What do you mean? That's not a chiddush?
No, you have to pay your bills.
The bigger chiddush that you're allowed to stop from learning.
No, the chiddush is not you're allowed to stop. The chiddush is you're allowed to... In other words, it's a chiddush you're allowed to leave a shul and daven out. Normally we say you're supposed to... Right? If let's say there's no minyan in the town, you're supposed to daven in a shul, nevertheless. Here we're telling you to leave the shul. So why? Because you're stirring the minyan. So not only when you do In other words, the first guy is a better guy than the second guy. The first guy is doing a good thing. He's going to work. The second guy is learning. I'm not sure. The Dirshu's learning, we're talking about a Torah Sayum Nasa guy. So what would the chiddush of that be? That b'shvil limud Torah gam kein mutter lasos kein, meaning if you're Torah Sayum Nasa, you could leave the shul and daven b'yechidas. You're daven b'yechidas anyway. The question is, should you do it in the shul or should you do it at home?
I would think Torah Sayum Nasa is worse than if you're a carpenter. I'm not sure why you think that.
Well, okay, so you're supporting my reading.
I don't really.
No, you hear what I'm saying? That's another. I mean, that's part of why I'm not going for the Dirshu reading, right? Not only if you're a carpenter, but even if you're Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, you could also. What do you mean, even if? Unless you say that a guy who's a Terasum Nasai, he's not that's not Mevaza the Tefillah. Meaning maybe only a carpenter, it's Mevaza the Tefillah if he stays in the shul. But maybe if you have to leave early to learn, maybe that's not a Bezayan Tefillah. And the Mishnah says it could be also it's mutter, but I don't know why he says it's mutter. He should say it could be you should. V'chein ma'asham b'sefer Maimer Mordechai achsham ari le'inyan tfilas musaf. There it's talking about tfilas musaf. Ve'efsher du adin le'inyan shachris b'ayin lekaman b'sif yud ches. What does that mean? There it's talking about tfilas musaf, meaning we're talking about somebody who has to leave early for tfilas because of tfilas musaf. So he should not be. What would the difference be between Musaf and Shachris? Either way, you're starting early. Okay, Sivkat and Lamanhe, Lahakdim Tfilase, Vafilu Raitsa, Lotses Chutza Beis HaKnesses. Even if you want to do it outside of the shul. Kain Kasav HaMagen Avram B'Shem Harivash. Even then you're not allowed to be Makdim. Even though we just said in Sivkat and Lamed Daled that if you need to be Makdim, it's better to be Makdim outside of the shul. I will say Mari Mordechai because the Ein Midirei Rosh Raya, Umasik de ein vayisur de makdim tefilase ela de lav shaper ovid. He holds it's not usher to be makdim. It's just not correct. De mafsid miyat tfilas hatzibur, because you're losing tefillah b'tzibur. So this is what the chakir we had to begin with. What's the reason you're not to be makdim? Is it that you're mavaza? So if the pshat is you're mavaza, then you can't go out of the shul. And if the reason is you're losing tefillah b'tzibur, then l'char you shouldn't be able to go out of the shul either. So again like this. Let's read this Mishnah Berura just by itself. You're not to be makdim the tefillah. The Rivash says even if you're going to go outside. Now, we already learned the reason for this. What was the reason you're not allowed to be makdim? The Archos Chaim said it's mevaza the tzibur. The Rabbi Mordechai says if you go out of the shul, you're not mevaza the tzibur. But it's still, when he says, it's still not right because you're losing tefillah b'tzibur. Sivkatan Lamed Vav. Sivkatan Lamed Vav. Hasha Oiveres. You're not to be makdim unless the hour is passing. Mashma da'az afilu b'beis haknesses shari. That's mashma that even in the shul you would be allowed to advance your. In other words, like this: you're in a shul, and it's Erev Shabbos, and Shkia is coming, And if you're going to advance, and the shul, let's say, is not makbid to daven before Shkia necessarily. Let's say it's scheduled before Shkia, but if they don't get around to it, it won't be the end of the world for them. You're allowed to daven earlier, even in their presence. Even though we just said before it's mavaza the tzibur, but if you're going to lose out on the tefillah, it's okay. What about somebody that davens a long Shemoneh Esrei, and he's not going to hear Kedusha, so he wants to start early? There are some poskim who say you're allowed to. The Dirshu says it's not clear that the Mishnah Berura would allow this, because in the Be'er Halacha, later on he doesn't say this. I wouldn't agree. No, there's no way the Mishnah Berura would allow that. Not a chance. You can't start Shemoneh Esrei before because you want to hear Kedusha. That's like giving up Tefillah B'tzibur to answer Kedusha. You don't go to a minyan, you don't down with a minyan to hear Kedusha, you down with a minyan to daven Shemoneh Esrei with the Tzibbur. No, he says that Reb Chaim Kanievsky says you can't do it. No, there's not a chance the Mishnah Berura would say that you're allowed to do that.
What about here at Esrei? There's a kain that starts early because he's the only kain and he wants to breath as kain, and so he davens Shemoneh Esrei drop early.
I don't know that he's allowed to do that.
But that's for Tzibbur, that's not the Yachid.
Why doesn't he finish Shemoneh Esrei like a normal person? No, he can't do that. I'm sure he's a good Jew. He probably eats kosher food and he keeps Shabbos, but he doesn't down with a minyan. Tell him he's not to do that because he wants to daven a long Shemoneh Esrei. No, I can't do it. Okay, Sif, weiter in the Mishnah Berura. Hasha vers Machon Maggid Harakiah v'chimuch lashon Tamid Rabbeinu v'habach pasak dafka shazman katzer kolchach shebaoid sheich lebeisoi yaver zman tefillah. The Bach says you only allowed to daven in the shul, in their presence, if it's Shah Iveres, is if there's not enough time to get home. Avalam yesh zman, if there's time, yelech lebeisoi, he should go home v'yisval biyachid. Meaning like this: if you're in a place, this is very important, and their minyan is scheduled for Shkia. But if they don't have a minyan, they're going to wait. And you want to daven Shemoneh Esrei, don't do it in their presence. Don't do it in their presence. You're right, you should daven Shemoneh Esrei before the Shkia, but not in front of them. It's mavaza the tzibur. It's mavaza tzibur. You know, I'll do it. What?
Do it in a side room?
Yeah, go to the side room. Go to the coat room. That's why people love to, you know that. People love to daven in the coat room. You can even go into a coat, this way to hide, but you shouldn't do it in their presence. Unless you mamish don't even have a minute. So then you don't have a choice. If you're weak, let's say like this. The Tzibbur davens 9 o'clock. You woke up 4:30. Now I have to starve for 7 hours. You're allowed to daven early. But not in the shul. If you're mamish weak, you could, and you need a bite, you could do it even in the shul. Friends, today's a rare day that we're going to have to cash in on. We're 3 days ahead, so after today, now we're only 2 days ahead. We're going to stop over here, okay? Shkoyach, have a good day, everyone. Kol tov. Be matzliach.